Started with doubt. Yeah. Started with doubt in the air in a room full of people convinced I would never go far. Now they're revisiting every opinion they made when they thought I was chasing a star. Funny how confidence changes the language of people who swore that the mission was flawed. Now they keep watching the scoreboard and wondering why I keep raising the bar. I was invisible back when the effort was heavy. Nobody cared for the outcome. Building the future from pieces and pressure while carrying weight that would bury a loud one. Every delay became part of the blueprint. Every mistake became part of the knowledge. Every rejection was adding a layer of strength and expanding the size of the target. They wanted comfort and safety and certainty. I wanted growth and uncertainty. I wanted days where the challenge was bigger than anything sitting in front of me currently. That's why the hunger is different, the energy different, the focus is locked and persistent. I never depended on luck or approval. I built it through repetition and distance. Whole lot of talking and claiming and framing themselves as the greatest to ever appear. Whole lot of posing and hoping the image survives when the pressure is suddenly near. I see through every performance, every distortion, every attempt at importance. Cause when it's time to produce something real, all the noise disappears without warning. I got no interest in copying ways or repeating the formula somebody invented. I'd rather be building a lane from the ground and be trapped in a trend that was already ended. Look at the way that they follow each other, recycling ideas and calling it progress. Meanwhile I'm taking a risk every day and converting that risk into something impressive. Back when they laughed I was learning. Back when they doubted I stayed in the process. Back when they slept I was turning frustration and setbacks into an asset. Now every step got precision, every decision got purpose behind it. Every objective gets treated like something that absolutely has to be conquered. I don't move reckless, I move with direction. I move with intention and clear expectations. I study the patterns, the habits, the cycles that keep people stuck in the same situation. Then I broke out of every limitation they handed me wrapped as a reasonable statement. Now they keep asking what changed and I tell them the answer was simple: dedication. Nothing was given, nothing was gifted, nothing was handed directly to me. I had to earn every inch of the position and every opportunity currently seen. That's why the mindset is different, cause I remember the days when the vision existed but nobody else could see it. Too many waiting for perfect conditions, too many searching for magical timing, too many talking about future success while avoiding the work that success is requiring. I got tired of hearing excuses repeated and dressed up as logical thinking, cause every excuse gets weaker the second a person decides that they're willing. Now when I enter the room there is tension, cause people can sense what I'm bringing. Not because I'm loud but because of the standard that's shown in the work I'm delivering. Excellence leaves an impression, consistency leaves a signature pattern, and once you establish that level repeatedly, everybody notices it happens. Every year sharper, every year smarter, every year harder to catch from behind. Cause while they're debating and hesitating, I'm already improving 100 more times. Every day counts and I'm counting them all, treating each hour like part of the climb, knowing that small improvements repeated for years become something impossible to hide. So keep the opinions and keep the assumptions and keep every comment you wanted to throw. None of it changes the path that I'm on or the pace that I'm choosing to go. I got my eyes on the future, my hands on the work and my focus intact. And every prediction they made about failure keeps breaking apart when confronted with facts. Built from persistence, driven by purpose, fueled by a vision, too vivid to quit. Learn it the loudest, so rarely the strongest, and proof is the language that actually hits. Now I keep moving with calm determination while others get caught in the theater and hide. Cause at the end of the day, only results decide who was talking and who was right. The day my younger brother won the lottery, everybody in the family suddenly started talking about destiny, like they had always believed in it. And I remember sitting in the corner of the restaurant watching people who hadn't called him in years suddenly remember his birthday, his favorite food, his childhood stories, and every little detail they had forgotten when he was broke. And the strangest part wasn't the money, it was how quickly people's personalities changed when they thought opportunity was sitting at the table. At first it looked harmless because everybody was smiling and laughing and raising glasses and talking about family. But the more the night went on, the more I realized nobody was really talking to him. They were talking to what they imagined he could do for them. And every conversation slowly turned into a request disguised as concern, and every compliment sounded suspiciously expensive. My brother had always been the quiet one, and maybe that's why he didn't notice it immediately. Or maybe he noticed and didn't want to believe it, because believing people love you is always easier than accepting they love what you have. And for a few months everything looked perfect from the outside, while problems quietly started growing underneath. The bass rolled through the speakers at a family gathering one weekend, while cousins and uncles and distant relatives filled the house pretending nothing had changed. But everything had changed, and I could see it in the way people laughed a little harder at his jokes and listened a little more carefully to his opinions, and suddenly agreed with ideas they would have ignored a year earlier. Band for the band, but the pressure stayed different, because money doesn't just buy things, it reveals things. And the more money entered the room, the more masks started falling off, and every hidden motive that had spent years sleeping comfortably suddenly woke up at the same time.
One cousin wanted investment money, and another wanted help buying a business, and another wanted support with debt, and another needed a loan for an emergency that somehow appeared the same week the lottery money did. And every request came wrapped inside a story, and every story came wrapped inside emotion, and every emotion came wrapped inside guilt. Months passed, and my brother kept saying yes, because he believed helping people will make everybody happy. But happiness built on expectation is fragile, and expectations grow faster than gratitude. And eventually people stopped appreciating what he gave, because they became busy calculating what he hadn't given yet. Then the rhythm starts accelerating, because every favor creates another favor, and every request creates another request, and every compromise, until the entire situation begins moving faster than anybody can control. And suddenly the same people who praised him started criticizing him, because he finally said no. The family group chats became arguments, and the dinners became negotiations, and the smiles became performances. And it was almost unbelievable watching people who once called him generous suddenly call him selfish, simply because he stopped giving them access to something they never earned. The city lights reflected through the restaurant windows one night, while my brother sat across from me looking more exhausted than happy. And for the first time since everything happened, he'd admit that he missed the version of life where people spoke to him without wanting something in return. And that sentence stayed with me, because it sounded heavier than all the money people spent months talking about. Most people dream about becoming rich because they imagine freedom, but nobody talks about the responsibility of learning who genuinely cares about you when your circumstances change. And nobody talks about how difficult it becomes to separate love from opportunity once enough money enters the picture. Now the pressure keeps building, and the lessons keep connecting, and every experience starts revealing another truth, because money never changes character as much as it exposes it. And the people who valued him before the lottery still valued him afterward, while the people who only valued access slowly disappeared the moment boundaries appeared. A year later, the family gatherings became smaller and quieter and more honest, and many of the people who once crowded around him stopped showing up completely. But strangely enough, he looked happier than before, because peace arrived at the exact moment expectations left. And whenever people talk about luck, now I think about him, because the biggest lesson wasn't that money can change your life, it was that money can reveal your life. And sometimes seeing people clearly is worth more than anything printed on a lottery ticket.
The first time my grandfather forgot my name, nobody in the family laughed, because everybody understood exactly what it meant. And I still remember him, sitting by the window looking out at the same street he had lived on for more than 40 years, while trying to hide the confusion on his face. Somehow that was harder to watch than any hospital visit, because illness feels different when it starts stealing memories instead of strength. At first the changes were small and easy to ignore, because he would forget where he left his glasses, or repeat the same story twice during dinner. And everybody convinced themselves it was normal, because accepting the truth felt heavier than pretending nothing was wrong. But the truth kept getting louder, and eventually pretending required more energy than facing it. The city kept moving outside while our family slowly adjusted to a reality nobody wanted, and every week seemed to take away something new, a name, a day, a face, a memory. And the strange thing was that he still remembered moments from 50 years ago more clearly than things that happened yesterday. And listening to him talk about his childhood felt like listening to somebody walking through a house, while the rooms behind him disappeared one by one. The bass rolled through my headphones on the train ride home one night, while I stared at my reflection in the glass and thought about how fragile everything really is. But people spend their entire lives collecting things and building things and worrying about things, only to discover that memory might be the most valuable thing they ever owned. And unlike money or property, there isn't a safe place to store it when time decides to come looking. Ran for time, but the pressure hit different. But this wasn't about success, and it wasn't about failure, and it wasn't about winning. It was about watching somebody you love slowly drift away while still sitting right in front of you. And there aren't many experiences that teach perspective faster than that. Months passed and the condition worsened, and there were days when you recognized everybody and days when you recognized nobody. And every good day felt like a gift, while every bad day felt like a warning. And the emotional roller coaster exhausted all of us, because hope and heartbreak kept taking turns sitting at the same table. Then one afternoon something happened that I still think about years later, because I walked into his room expecting another difficult conversation, and instead he looked directly at me and remembered everything: my name, my job, the last conversation we had. And for nearly an hour it felt like the disease had simply disappeared, and we talked and laughed and shared stories like we used to before any of this started. Now the rhythm starts building, because moments like that become bigger when you know they won't last. And every sentence feels heavier, and every smile feels more valuable, and every second feels impossible to waste, because time suddenly becomes visible in a way most people never notice. The sun
sunlight came through the curtains, and the room felt warmer than usual. And for a little while, everything seemed normal again. But before I left, he grabbed my hand and said something I never forgot. And he told me that people spend too much time worrying about things that won't matter, and not enough time appreciating the people who already do. The city lights were turning on by the time I got home, and traffic was moving through the streets, and life was continuing exactly like always. But I wasn't the same person who left that room, because sometimes one conversation can rearrange your priorities more than years of experience ever could. A few months later, he forgot my name again, and eventually forgot almost everything else too. But strangely enough, I never felt as devastated as before, because that one afternoon had already given me what I needed. And even though the memories disappeared for him, they never disappeared for me. Now when the pressure builds and life gets loud, and everybody starts chasing things they think will make them happy, I find myself thinking about that room and that conversation. The success becomes smaller and gratitude becomes bigger every time I remembered that. And the lesson still hits just as hard as it did back then, because in the end the moments people I remember aren't usually the expensive ones or the impressive ones, they're the honest ones. And whenever I pass that old street and see the window where we used to sit, watching the world go by, I realize that life isn't really measured by how much we collect along the way. It's measured by how many people are still carrying pieces of us after we're gone. And that's a legacy bigger than anything money could ever buy.
Rain was falling so hard that night, the road outside looked more like a river than a street. And my mother kept calling my older sister over and over, but by pretending she wasn't worried. But everybody in the house knew something was wrong, because she had never missed a family dinner before, and she had never ignored calls for this long. And as the hours passed, the silence started feeling heavier than the storm outside. Nobody could have guessed that a single decision made months earlier was already changing all of our lives, because problems rarely arrive. The day they begin, they arrive long after the choices that created them. And my sister had been carrying a secret for almost a year, while smiling through birthdays and holidays and ordinary afternoons like nothing was wrong. She had borrowed money from people she should never have trusted, because she believed one lucky opportunity would solve everything. And at first the numbers looked small enough to manage, and the promises sounded convincing enough to believe. But every bad decision created another bad decision, and every deadline created another excuse, until the entire situation became too large to hide. Bass rolled through the speakers of a passing car while we waited for news and watched the rain hit the windows. And I remember thinking how strange it was that the city kept moving normally, while our family felt frozen in place, because life never pauses when somebody is struggling. It just keeps moving forward and expects you to keep up, band for band. But the pressure felt different, because this wasn't about ambition, and it wasn't about success, it was about fear. And fear changes people faster than almost anything else, because fear convinces good people to make desperate choices, and desperate choices usually come with expensive consequences. Around midnight my sister finally answered the phone, and the voice sounded smaller than I had ever heard before. And for the first time she stopped pretending everything was fine, and told the truth about the debt and the threats and the months she spent trying to solve the problem alone, because she was too ashamed to ask for help. And anger filled the room for a moment and then disappeared almost immediately, because anger becomes difficult to hold when somebody you love is already carrying more pain than you can imagine. And suddenly nobody cared about who was right or wrong anymore, because survival became more important than blame. Pressure kept building and the conversation kept getting heavier, and every hidden detail revealed another hidden detail, because secrets always travel in groups, and the more we learned the clearer it became that silence had nearly destroyed someone who spent her entire life trying to protect everybody else. Morning arrived slowly and the storm finally started fading, and for the first time in months my sister wasn't carrying the weight by herself anymore. And nothing was magically fixed and none of the problems disappeared overnight, but something important to change, because truth had finally entered the situation that had been controlled by fear. Months later we were still dealing with consequences, and still paying for mistakes, and still rebuilding trust. But every difficult conversation felt easier than the silence that came before it, because silence gives problems space to grow, while honesty gives people a chance to fight back. Life eventually moved forward the way it always does, and the city kept glowing and the traffic kept flowing, and ordinary days returned. But I never forgot that night, because it taught me something most people learn too late, and that's the fact that pride can become a prison when it stops people from asking for help. Years have passed since then, and my sister laughs more now than she did back then. But every time our family sits together around the same table, I think about how close we came to losing somebody simply because she believed carrying pain alone was stronger than sharing it. And that lesson still follows me everywhere. And that lesson still follows me everywhere, because some burdens become lighter the moment they're spoken out loud. Summer heat was hanging over the neighborhood when the old grocery store at the end of the street finally closed its doors. And most people walked past without thinking much about it, because to them, It was just another small business disappearing. But to me it felt like watching a piece of my childhood disappear, because that store had been there longer than some of the buildings around it. And the owner knew almost everybody by name. Mr. Hunt opened that place before I was born, and spent decades standing behind the same counter, greeting the same customers and helping the same families. And when somebody couldn't afford groceries, he quietly wrote the amount in a notebook and told them to pay later. And somehow later always arrived, because trust was worth more back then than contracts. Business started slowing down when a giant supermarket opened across town, because convenience usually wins and price usually wins, and people rarely notice what they're losing while they're saving a little money. And every month there seemed to be fewer customers walking through the door and more empty hours waiting behind the register. One afternoon I stopped by after work and found him sitting alone on a stool, staring at shelves that were only half full. And for the first time he looked tired in a way I had never seen before, because physical exhaustion disappears after rest, but disappointment stays awake much longer. And the silence inside that store felt strange, because I remember when it used to be full of conversations and laughter. Bass drifted from a car parked outside while sunlight came through the front window and covered the floor in long shadows. And for a moment everything felt frozen between past and future, because everybody knew the store was struggling, but nobody wanted to admit how the story ripped band for band. But the pressure felt different, because this wasn't about dreams getting bigger, it was about something valuable slowly disappearing. And watching that happen taught me that loss doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrives quietly, one customer at a time. Weeks passed and rumors spread, and eventually the closing announcement appeared on the front door. And suddenly people who hadn't visited in years started showing up, saying how sad it was, and talking about memories and wishing things had turned out differently. And the irony was painful, because support arrived at the exact moment it could no longer change anything. Closing day felt heavier than anybody expected, because the line stretched outside the building and people kept bringing flowers and cards and old photographs. And everybody wanted to say thank you for something they should have appreciated sooner. Watching that happen made me realize how often people wait until the end to express gratitude. Tears, 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 tears. Tears filled Mr. Hines' eyes when he looked around the store for the final time, because every shelf and every corner carried decades of memories. And suddenly the place stopped looking like a business and started looking like a lifetime of effort compressed into 4 walls. Pressure built inside my chest while I stood there, because the story felt bigger than one grocery store. It felt like a reminder that nothing stays forever, and that ordinary things often become important only after they're gone. And that realization hit harder than I expected. Months later the building was empty, and the sign had been removed, and somebody else eventually rented the space. But every time I walked past I still looked toward the front window, because habits survive longer than places do, and memories survive longer than both. Life kept moving the way life always does. The neighborhood kept changing and new businesses opened, then old ones disappeared. But I never forgot the final day, because it taught me something important, and that's the fact that appreciation delayed too long eventually becomes regret. Years have gone by since then, and I still think about that store. Whenever somebody tells me they'll call a friend later, or visit a parent next month, or thank somebody another time, because another time is never guaranteed, and opportunities often disappear quietly before anyone realizes they're running out. And the lesson left behind by that little grocery store still follows me everywhere, because the things that matter most are usually the things people assume will always be there. Night bus hiss and the whole road glisten. City lights dance in a cracked windshield, and I don't say much, cause the loudest man in the room usually hiding something. I learned that young when the smiles look friendly and the motives look different. Now I read situations quicker than subtitles, and I trust patterns more than promises, because patterns repeat and promises vanish. Whole squad move with a calm type confidence, no extra talk and no random arrogance. Everybody wants the view from the summit, but nobody wants to climb through the weather. Nobody wants the nights when the plan looked broken and the future looked smaller than the pressure. I stayed there and kept building anyway, because direction matters more than speed when the road gets longer. Black sky hanging above the overpass while the traffic flow underneath like rivers. Every headlight got a different destination, and every destination got a different reason. Some chase status and some chase attention, and some chase validation from strangers. I chase leverage, because leverage multiplies effort, and effort multiplies options, and options multiply freedom. Baseline creeping under the concrete, heartbeat sync with the kick when it lands. Whole atmosphere shift when the energy change. DNA moment when the pressure expand. Now every thought move faster than before, and every decision feel heavier than normal, because momentum arrived, and momentum always separates preparation from performance. Most people stop when the road get rough. Most people fall when the doubt get loud. Most people switch when the vision take longer than the timeline they imagined. I stayed focused because
patience pays interest, and discipline compounds like numbers. Every lesson stacked on another lesson, and every small gain stacked on another gain, until the gap became visible, band for band, but the energy measured. No fake threats and no forced aggression. Real confidence don't need permission, and real progress don't need announcements. I let results do the conversation while I keep moving through situations. Every setback turned into information, and every obstacle became navigation. Now the rhythm rise and the cadence tighten, and the structure start changing shape. Every line connect to another line, and every layer connect to another layer. Rapid progression and constant adaptation, because standing still never built anything worth keeping. Movement creates possibility, and possibility creates expansion. Fast pace now, sharp focus now, no breaks now, full motion now. Every second got value attached, and every choice got consequence attached, and every risk got a lesson attached. That's why the rise never happened by chance. That's why the confidence came from action, not from talking. Clock keep moving, and the city keep glowing, and the future stay hidden ahead, but hidden never meant impossible, it only meant undiscovered. And every horizon cross reveal another horizon waiting beyond it. So I keep going, because growth was always the goal, and the goal keeps growing with me. Quick switch, quick step, quick mind, big plan, long road, no rest, stay sharp, stay calm, move smart, stack wins, build more, learn more, rise high, think bigger, stay locked, stay driven, no fear, no panic, just vision, precision, ambition, momentum, progression. Now the whole thing accelerate, every sentence feeding another sentence, every idea building another idea, every challenge creating another challenge worth solving. Because pressure stopped feeling heavy and started feeling useful, and once that happened, everything changed. The skyline fade into the sunrise, and the road keeps stretching ahead. No finish line, no final chapter, no perfect ending, waiting at the top. Just another level beyond the level, and another mountain beyond the mountain. And that's exactly why I'm still moving.
Started with doubt and started with doubt. Started with doubt in the air, in a room full of people convinced I would never go far. Now they're revisiting every opinion they made when they thought I was chasing a star. Funny how confidence changes the language of people who swore that the mission was flawed. Now they keep watching the scoreboard and wondering why I keep raising the bar. I was invisible back when the effort was heavy and nobody cared for the outcome. Building the future from pieces and pressure while carrying weight that would bury a loud one. Every delay became part of the blueprint, every mistake became part of the knowledge. Every rejection was adding a layer of strength and expanding the size of the target. They wanted confidence, safety and certainty. I wanted growth and uncertainty. I wanted days where the challenge was bigger than anything sitting in front of me currently. That's why the hunger is different, the energy different, the focus is locked and persistent. I never depended on luck or approval, I built it for repetition and distance. Whole lot of talking and claiming and framing themselves as the greatest to ever appear. Whole lot of posing and hoping the image survives when the pressure is suddenly near. I see through every performance, every distortion, every attempt at importance. Cause when it's time to produce something real, all the noise disappears without warning. I got no interest in copying waves or repeating the formula somebody invented. I'd rather be building lane from the ground and be trapped in the trend that was already ended. Look at the way that they follow each other, recycling ideas and calling it progress. Meanwhile I'm taking a risk every day and converting that risk into something impressive. Back when they laughed I was learning, back when they doubted I stayed in the process. Back when they slept I was turning frustration and setbacks into an asset. Now every step got precision, every decision got purpose behind it. Every objective gets treated like something that absolutely has to be conquered. I don't move reckless, I move with direction, I move with intention and clear expectations. I study the patterns, the habits, the cycles that keep people stuck in the same situation. Then I broke out of every limitation. They handed me raps as a reasonable statement. Now they keep asking what change, and I tell them the answer was simple: dedication. Nothing was given, nothing was gifted, nothing was handed directly to me. I had to earn every inch of the position and every opportunity currently seen. That's why the mindset is different, because I remember the days when the vision existed but nobody else could see it. Too many waiting for perfect conditions, too many searching for magical timing, too many talking about future success while avoiding the work that success is requiring. I got tired of hearing excuses repeated and dressed up as logical thinking, because every excuse gets weaker the second the person decides that they're willing. Now when I enter the room there is tension, where people can sense what I'm bringing. Not because I'm loud but because of the standard that's shown in the work I'm delivering. Excellence leaves an impression, consistency leaves a signature pattern, and once you establish that level repeatedly, everybody notices it happen. Every year sharper, every year smarter, every year harder to catch from behind. Cause why the debating and hesitating? I'm already improving 100 more times. Every day counts and I'm counting them all, treating each hour like part of decline. Knowing that small improvements repeated for years become something impossible to hide. So keep the opinions and keep the assumptions and keep every comment you want it to throw. None of it changes the path that I'm on or the pace that I'm choosing to go. I got my eyes on the future, my eyes on the work, and my focus intact. And every prediction they made about failure keeps breaking apart when confronted with facts. Built from persistence, driven by purpose, fueled by your vision, too vivid to quit. Learned that the loudest are rarely the strongest. strongest, and proof is the language that actually hits. Now I keep moving with calm determination, while others get caught in the theater and hype. Because at the end of the day, only results decide who was talking and who was right. Walked in with a calm face, but the whole place shifted. I was built from the pressure they folded under. While I treated every setback like conditioning, everybody got opinions to the situation, turns critical and suddenly the confidence missing. I don't waste energy proving I'm different, because the results keep speaking before I even enter the building. Back then they laughed when the vision sounded bigger than the room could handle. Now the same people watching every move trying to understand how the plan got assembled. I stayed dangerous with patience, stayed focused through phases, stayed moving through mazes. While they kept changing directions, chasing attention, breaking momentum, making excuses and calling it effort. I don't move loud, I move precise. Every step calculated like money on a ledger. Every risk measured, every lesson treasured. Every scar turned into something that made me better. You can hear it in the cadence, feel it in the tension, see it in the way they freeze when the name gets mentioned. I don't need validation from strangers, because I already survived situations that would have broken their spirit. Too many actors playing bosses, too many coaches pretending they're ruthless, too many chains and watches covering insecurities nobody notices. I can see through the image, see through the gimmicks, see through the stories they built for the internet. Because when the pressure arrives and the lights disappear, character becomes the only thing left. Now the pace getting faster, the flow getting sharper, the ring getting smaller, the target getting larger. Every competitor looking exhausted, while I keep adding another chapter, another layer. Another reason they panic whenever they hear that bass through the speaker. I came from the side where nobody expected success, where every dream sounded unrealistic and every ambition got questioned. So I learned how to build without applause, learned how to win without attention, learned how to stay dangerous in silence while everybody else was busy announcing intentions. Run out back because they missed it. I was never interested in temporary hyper or artificial status. I wanted something lasting, something massive, something they couldn't copy after watching for 5 minutes. That's the difference, that's the distance between talking and living, between posting and building, between wanting and doing. Now it's straight pressure, straight motion, straight focus, no slowing, no folding, no hoping somebody opened the door, because I already kicked mine open. Every doubt got buried, every obstacle carried, every challenge turned into fuel for another level they said was impossible. And when they ask what changed, tell them nothing changed except the scale. The hunger stayed, the discipline stayed, the work stayed, the vision stayed. And that's exactly why the scoreboard changed.